day one or one day. I have very strong opinions about things. I mean, I'm just like blowing wind up my own ass here. I'm like, I don't need you. Sorry. It was the first time I've actually kind of been to like an influencer event. Not my finest moment. I'm not proud of it. I don't condone it. Hello, welcome to the first ever episode of Meg It Make Sense. I'm Meg, and in this podcast, I'm going to be making sense of nothing and everything all at the same time. I am not going to lie, I did try and record this already, but listening back to the first episode, I'm like, ugh, I'm just so not myself, and I've recorded 2 other episodes now, so I'm feeling way more comfortable in front of the microphone, in front of the camera. If you are watching this and not listening, I do have a hat on because I've got hat hair and it's oily, so I want to hide it. But yeah, so I'm just re-recording it so that you guys can actually see what I'm like for reals. Not putting on a facade, not pretending, just being absolutely me. Well, without further ado, should we get into the first episode of Meg It Make Sense? Firstly, before we get into anything, every week I'm going to have a Make It Make Sense. Whether I have a guest on, they can have a Make It Make Sense, or whether it's just me. So the very first Make It Make Sense of the series is Make It Make Sense. Why do I get seasonal depression so bad? If you guys knew me for the past 4 months, I have been a shell of myself. Maybe that's also because I was iron deficient and now I've had an iron infusion, so I feel like a whole new woman. But when it's winter in Queensland and it's cloudy and it's cold, like I don't want to go outside. I don't want to see anyone. Now we're in August, start of September. It'll be September when you guys are listening to this. The sun is coming out. It's like 20 plus degrees. I'm going for walks. I'm going to the beach. I'm hanging out with friends. I'm going out drinking. But during the winter, I'm just like not doing any of that. I feel like when I tell people that I get seasonal depression, most of the time they just laugh at me and they're like, that's not a real thing. My dad like fully shuts it down. But let me look it up. I think it is a real thing. I'm not diagnosed. I'm self-diagnosed. Is seasonal depression real? Question mark. Oh my gosh. Okay. This is the AI overview on Google. Yes, seasonal affective disorder, SAD, often referred to as seasonal depression, is a recognized type of depression that occurs at certain times of the year. It's characterized by a reoccurring seasonal pattern, most commonly beginning in the fall or winter months and improving with the arrival of spring and summer. Wow. So it is real. Symptoms of SAD: low mood, fatigue, changes in sleep, appetite changes, loss of interest, difficulty concentrating, thoughts of... I'm not going to say that last one. Appetite changes though. I feel like maybe that is like super, what's the word? Like animalistic of us. Like you gain weight during the winter months because you're like fattening for winter so that you're not as cold. I mean, I live in Queensland, Australia. Like it's really not that cold here. But things are looking up. So I'm really excited. I feel like this podcast is coming at a good time, to be honest with you, because I am getting out of my seasonal depression. Woo! I also might sound a little bit funny today because of the weather is changing. So I have nasal drip and it's like dripping back into my throat. But I took a Zyrtec, so hopefully that is all good. So next time someone shuts you down for saying you have seasonal depression, you can prove them wrong. And also, I'm not the only one that goes through this. Like all my friends, all of a sudden, like we're making plans, we're doing things. It's exciting. All right, I feel like we should get to know me a little bit because some of you may have seen my TikToks or my Instagram posts, like just me on social media, or you might know me from my boyfriend, Mackenzie, who does social media. But I think let's get to know me so you actually know me and this podcast feels personal, because I want you guys to feel like you're my best friends, we're on FaceTime, we're doing a hungover debrief, all that kind of thing. I don't ever want it to get too serious. Like, obviously, we will tackle some issues, but I just want it to be really lighthearted and like an escape for you guys just from your daily life, or like when you go on a walk, you can listen to my voice, although I don't know why anyone would want to listen to my voice, but yeah. I'm 24. I'm from Brisbane, Australia, born and raised, never left, unfortunately. I have a mum and a dad. I have I have a twin sister named Cameron, who I'll definitely get on the podcast because she's hilarious. And then I have an older sister who's 6 years older than me, Bridie. So we're a nice little family of 5, all girls, like strong female empowerment household. I'm a Capricorn, so I'm super stubborn, but I'm also an Aquarius rising. So as well, like make that make sense, because I feel like they're very contrasting signs, if I'm being honest. But yes, I'm stubborn. I feel like behind the scenes, I'm very type A, but how I come across to people is very type B. So that's what I'm really into astrology at the moment. So I will be referencing a lot of astrology. Not that I actually know much about it, but I know that I'm into it, if you know what I mean. This is really ignorant of me, but I don't understand how AI is affecting the environment. It's actually probably something that I should look into rather than just like saying that out loud. So maybe actually next week I will do my research and I'll look into why AI is bad. But in saying that, I went onto ChatGPT and I think it's like called your Vedic or your Vedic astrology chart, which is like a different astrology chart to like the main one. Anyway, it kind of can give you predictions about your life and tell you about your past. So the past 10 years have been, I had fun as a teenager, but my chart says the past 10 years has been really dark for me. And I think in terms of mental health, it actually has been really dark for me. But in mid 2026 to I think it was like 2030, I'm meant to be having the best years of my life. Boom in career, financial, love, like all that stuff. So I think I'm really into astrology because it's giving me hope for the future. So if you're not into astrology, I'm really sorry that you have to listen to me talk about it. Anyway, how did I even get onto astrology? Oh, I'm a Capricorn. That's why. I'm a dance teacher by trade. I hate it when people say by trade, but I just did. And I grew up dancing from literally the age of 3 until I kind of stopped doing it properly when I was 19. I did full-time ballet at Queensland Ballet from the age of 15 to 19. And then when COVID hit, I was injured and I mentally wasn't doing well. And I was like, you know what, I'm not being fulfilled by this. And so I decided to give up that. And when COVID hit, I got more into the teaching space. I absolutely love it. I love watching my students thrive, grow, become good people in society. Nothing fulfills me quite like watching the improvement in some of the kids I teach, which is great. What I'm doing now is I'm posting a lot on social media. I honestly, if you know me from social media, I just post random videos of my thoughts, what I'm thinking. I post a lot about my relationship. Sometimes I do dancing stuff on there. Sometimes I do outfits, but I think in my normal life, I have more aesthetics to me, but on social media, I'm not your aesthetic girl, unfortunately. I'm not that like sofa dofa, like Sam Goggs, like aesthetic outfit girly. I'm more here for my personality. I love to be funny. I love to talk shit, gossip with my friends. And that's basically what this podcast is going to be as well. So that's what I'm doing with my life. I felt like I needed something extra to give me purpose because I was feeling really unfulfilled and in a bit of a lull almost. So I feel like this podcast is good timing for me. It's just what I need to grow as a person, give me some purpose. I love posting on the internet, so literally just posting on the internet as well. I love that. I love meeting new people and learning about their lives and stuff. I love making sense of things. I'm a big question asker. I'm always asking questions. So I'm excited to get some guests on. We're going to get Mackenzie on the podcast, my boyfriend. If you don't know him, go look him up. He's maybe Mackenzie on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. I'll get my friends Eden and James on the podcast because they're just hilarious. I'll get my sister on the podcast. I'll get my roommate Beck. She's from Manchester. She's got so much life experience and fun stories, so we can get her on the podcast. And I'm just going to be introducing you guys to a bunch of characters, honestly. I'm going to get other TikTok influencers, spill the tea a little bit. I mean, I'm a niche influencer, like I don't have that many followers, but I feel like watching my boyfriend in the space, I see so much of the stuff that goes down, and there's so much I haven't been able to say, but we're gonna spill it all on the potty. We're just gonna, because I feel like the community I'm gonna have on this podcast are gonna be people that are just like me, and we're gonna be best friends. So I'm really excited for that. I have a bunch of podcasts that I listen to. I'm so sick of every podcast I listen to reverting back to being about boys and dating, and I'm sick of us giving these boys the time of day. I know that's easy for me to say because I'm kind of in a happy relationship, but I think we just need something. We need a podcast that's for the girls and the gays and the theys. We need a podcast that's like just a bit of banter. We're not constantly giving these men all this energy and time, you know? Men are my friends, not a podcast story time. I mean, I'm sure we will get into dating because obviously I'm very I have very strong opinions about things. So I'm sure we will get into some situations like that and stuff, but for now I just want it to be fun banter. This episode is going to be a short episode. It's just like a just get to know me. I asked on my Instagram, I put up a question box and I said like, what do you guys want to hear from me? Ask me some questions. So I'm just going to dive right into those and we're going to get into it. All right, what questions do I have here? Okay, first question, someone said, share your dance tales. Ooh, I think this is going to require a whole nother podcast episode, but I have so many dance tales. Trigger warning, if you struggle with eating disorders or body dysmorphia or something, maybe you can skip forward the episode a little bit more. But a lot of my dance tales are kind of around those topics. So like, for example, what would happen? My ballet teacher really wanted me to lose weight, so she'd make me put on like trash bag pants and go on the elliptical machine for half an hour before class started. And I think in full-time class would start at like 8 o'clock. So if I needed to warm up, I needed an extra 15 minutes before class. So what is that? 7:45. I'd have to be 7:15 on the elliptical machine. And then I live like far away from where dancing was. So I'd have to wake up so early in the morning. And then I never really lost the weight because I didn't change like my diet. You know, I was just doing more exercise. If anything, I'd eat more because I'd be burning more energy. I'd be more hungry. And I didn't have the knowledge about changing your diet to lose weight. I was kind of told, I remember being told when I was like 17, like my ballet teacher was like, you need to be 50 kilos. And I was like, how do you do that? So then I just started like all these like unhealthy ways of trying to lose weight, but there was no like, here's a nutritionist and this is a plan that you can have. We weren't allowed to drink cold water because cold water goes to your thighs. You could only drink hot water. We weren't allowed to have the air conditioning on, or like at least the other girls in my class didn't want to have the air conditioning on because they wanted to sweat. And actually there's one other story I remember. I just had someone close to me pass away, and I went to ballet the morning I found out, because we had ballet exams the next week, so I couldn't miss a day. And I was like sobbing in tears. I was so distraught. I was so upset. And then I was like to my ballet teacher, like, I think I need to sit this class out, or I need to go home or something, because I can't mentally deal with this. And I'm a fighter. Like, I'll push through most things. And I remember her looking at me and being like, Megan, people pass away. You just got to deal with it. And I had just found out that morning. Anyway, that like requires a whole nother episode in itself. I think I need to get my friend Callum on the potty and we can just talk about the random stuff that happened in full time, because exchanging stories with him would be so funny. He's also hilarious. So let me know if you want a whole nother episode just on dance tales and things like that, because obviously my experiences with ballet, but as ballet dancers, it's like pretty insane. Next question. What were you like in high school? What was I like in high school? I had a lot of friends. I wasn't like in a popular group as such, but I would just be like friends with everyone. In grade 8 and 9, I went to an all-girls private school. I feel like I wasn't there enough to experience I just never experienced like bullying. I saw people be bullied in like a catty private school girls way, but I was never bullied. But even then, I kind of just stuck to myself, I think. And I stuck to myself, but I was like friends with everyone at the same time. I was a little bit weird and outspoken, I think. I'm just a whole nother person from who I was like then. And then in grade 10, I did distance education. So I actually did full-time ballet and I didn't go to school. I did online school. I think that might have been the worst year of my life to date. I did achieve some good things with my ballet, but in terms of my mental health, I had no friends. People from my previous high school neglected me. I started to make friends, but I was like started making friends by like reaching out to and making friends with different boys. So I was friends with a lot of boys. I made friends with a lot of random boys and I would just hang out with them all the time. I didn't have a lot of girlfriends, but I am lucky in the sense of like I've always had my twin sister. So I've always had like her friends, if that makes sense. But yeah, that was the worst year of my life. Like that was the first time I had ever thought of trigger warning, first ever like suicidal thoughts, and the only time I've ever had that. But yeah, I was like a shell of of myself, really. I think I was just working so hard in ballet that I completely lost my identity. And then grade 11 and 12, I did full-time ballet at Queensland Ballet. And those were like honestly one of the best years of my life. I know I just said a bunch of negative things about ballet, but like in terms of like friendships and routine, it wasn't a conventional high school experience, but like it was really fun. We had to go to school at a public co-ed school, so it was like a full 180 from my grade 8 and 9 years. And I think being exposed to like a diverse group of people really made me mature in life. And I look at some girls I know that, went to all girls private schools today and they still have that I've just been involved in this situation where like they still are a bit catty and like have that like private school like bitchiness energy to them, where I feel like I really outgrew that and I have a better perspective on life. I'm not so small-minded. I'm just like blowing wind up my own ass here, but I've just been involved in this situation recently where girls were being catty and I'm just like, wow, I don't have the energy for that at all. I also don't, nothing is that deep for me. Like I will get in deep chats about things, but in terms of like social situations or like people doing things, nothing is that deep for me. And as soon as someone like lets me down, disappoints me, I just cut them off. Which I think is circling back to astrology, is a thing about being a Capricorn. Like recently there was this girl, I found out that she was saying not nice things about me behind my back and I literally just cut her off. I'm like, I don't need you. Sorry, got enough friends. Wow, I really went on a tangent. But circling back to what I was like in high school, yeah, I think I was just friendly with everyone. I didn't cause too much drama, I don't think. I definitely wasn't a bully, but I don't think I stood up to bullies for other people either, which makes me a little bit disappointed, but I'm grown. I'm a completely different person. If I see behavior like that, I completely like point it out. I'm a new person in that way. All right, next question. That got real. I get on these deep tangents, and this is what this podcast is going to be. So if you don't like deep tangents, I'm really sorry about that. Next question. Okay, let's pick a good one. Craziest story time. I don't think this is my craziest story time, but I can think of one off the top of my head immediately. So circa Splendor in the Mud, when was that? 2022? Was that Splendor in the Mud? Whatever year Splendor were in the Mud was. I went with my boyfriend Mackenzie because he got invited by Red Bull to go to Splendor in the Grass. If you don't know Splendor in the Grass, it's like a music festival. Anyway, one year the whole campgrounds were just completely flooded with mud, but the festival kind of still went on. Anyway, Mackenzie was there with Red Bull, and obviously I'm just like his plus one naturally, so I go to everything he goes to. And we went to this pre-party for Splendor. It was the first time I've actually kind of been to like an influencer event. So I think I was really excited. I'm also going to just let you know, guys, I am going to be name dropping here, but it was at Angus Stone's property in Byron Bay. And it was so fun. It was like a Nunna Judy party, the brand Nunna Judy. They were hosting it, but it was at Angus Stone's house. Obviously, free drinks, all that, like meeting new people. Naturally, I just get so wasted. I got so drunk. I wasn't controlling myself. I was just really excited. And just a bunch of things happened. I went up to Lucy and Nikki, like from happy hour, and I just basically fangirled over them. Hopefully they don't remember that. Telling them how much I love them. I went up to Angus Stone and I introduced myself. And also keep in mind, this is before I even started TikTok. So like I literally was a nobody. Not that if you don't post TikToks, you're a nobody. Do you understand what I'm saying? But I like wasn't in the scene, if you know what I mean. So I went over to Angus Stone and Angus Stone as in like, wanna take you for a ride on a big, you guys know that song. I went over to Angus Stone and I gave him a big hug, introduced myself, spoke to him for like 20 minutes. No idea what I spoke to him about. Then I just introduced myself to a bunch of people, probably really embarrassed myself. I got in a conversation with Georgia Hazarati. Do you guys know Georgia Hazarati from Too Hot to Handle? Yeah, the Netflix show, just Too Hot to Handle. Went over to her, talking to her for like an hour about Love Island. She was on Too Hot to Handle. And apparently Macca, my boyfriend, was like, the whole time she's like smiling and laughing. But I just like kept rambling on. I know nothing about Love Island or even Too Hot to Handle. So I don't know what I possibly could be talking to her about. Anyway, and then we got on the bus. I think she was in front of us. And do you guys know the Reese Bros? They do TikTok content. They're just like bizarre human beings. Love them though. They were sitting behind us. I think that was the first time we met them as well. But I was so drunk. I've just vomited on the bus, on the floor. Not my finest moment. I'm not proud of it. I don't condone it. But it happened. And it was one of those old school buses. So like underneath the chair, there's nothing. So the vomit would have just trickled all the way back to the back of the bus. To be fair, I think everyone was really fucked up on that bus ride. I would love to know if any other influencers that were there saw this vomit, because we were all on the same bus. That's probably my crazy. Oh, actually, no, that wouldn't be my craziest story, but that's just the one I can think of. I need to get another person on the podcast so we can like riff off stories, because I feel like I need to be reminded of them. All right, we'll do one more question because I'm just keeping this pilot episode nice and short, just so that you guys get the vibe of the podcast. Someone said, any advice for moving on from high school? I'm a few years out of school and was a very quiet and shy kid. Some of the things other girls said to me in school still affects me in adulthood. Any advice? Love you, by the way. Wow, I feel really sorry that you have to go through that. Any advice moving on from high school? You know what? Okay, actually, I know exactly the advice I'm going to give you. If you spend your life worrying about what other people think of you, it's going to be really hard for you to ever achieve anything. Like, for example, if I really cared what people thought of me that much, I would never start this podcast. I would never post on social media. You shouldn't let what you think other people think of you as affect you. Because at the end of the day, this is your life. You only get one. I really think that you need to shake off whatever they've said about you. This is a new chapter for you. Adulthood is so exciting because the world is your oyster. You can literally do whatever you want. My roommate, for example, she's from Manchester. She moved over to Australia when she was 18. She just created a whole new life for her. And she's thriving, doing exactly what she wants to do. She gets to live in a nice country that she wants to be in. The world is your oyster. That is so fucking cringe that I just said that. The thing is, you can just be whoever you want to be in life. If you want to go on in adulthood and be the shy, quiet person, then that is okay, if that's who you want to be. If you want to be the loud, outspoken person with the podcast, just do that. You shouldn't let what anyone has said about you shape the person that you want to be. You are shaping the person that you want to be. And I'm 100% under the opinion that everything in life is a decision that you make. Obviously, some people aren't dealt the cards and aren't given the correct circumstances to do that. But if you are a privileged person that, lives in a good country and, has certain privileges, you should just grab it by the balls and just do whatever you want with it. I also think if people are continuing to be judgmental and just constantly tear people down, they're just jealous, they're just envious, and they probably don't have that much exciting happening in their own life. What's that saying? Like day one or one day. Am I right? That's like what I'm doing with this podcast. Half the people that fail at things, it's because they don't even start. You know what I mean? I think you got to shake it off, forget what they said, move on, find ways to empower yourself. There's this route that I like to take and I go for a walk. At the end of the route, there's a big set of stairs. And every time I get to the stairs, I think, fuck, I've walked 5 kilometers. Can I be bothered? But then I think, who is the person that I want to be? Are they the type of person that takes the stairs, or are they the person that takes the elevator? Or it could even be like your friends invite you out, but you're a little bit tired. The person that you want to be, is that someone that goes out and socializes and is fun with friends, or is that the person that locks themselves in their bedroom and does nothing? I think if you change your mindset to be like that, you will shape yourself into the person that you want to be. On that note, guys, thanks so much for listening to the first ever episode of Meg It Make Sense. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know what you want to hear from me. Let me know what stories and tales you want from me. Follow me on Spotify. Follow me on YouTube. Like this. And thanks so much for listening. Tune in next week for the next episode.